So if you desire to be a high value woman, there are specific habits that you must embody in order to develop that inner sense of value. And the very first one that I want to talk to you all about is having a deep spiritual practice. Women who are high value understand that their value doesn't come from outside of themselves. Their value doesn't come in a ring on their finger. It doesn't come in a title of a last name. It doesn't come in the degrees they have on the wall, their certifications. Their value is not based on external factors. It's not based on how much money they have, the house they drive, the house they live in, the cars they drive, how many times they vacation. No, a true high value woman understands and really lives out this deep sense of spiritual worth and value, understanding that her value comes from God, that her value comes from her spiritual essence. Her value comes from the fact that the Spirit of God is within her. And that's where her true value lies. When you base your self-worth or your value on external factors that are material and that fade away, they really don't hold any value. But when you recognize that your true value is in your spiritual self, then you can begin to look at yourself differently, because ultimately the spirit that God gave you came from Him. And that's where that true value comes from. High value women have a very deep spiritual practice. And this spiritual practice is what grounds them. It grounds us in our day. It grounds us in our decisions. It grounds us in our choices, from the food we eat, to the thoughts we think, to the words that we speak, to the people we hang around, to the actions we take on a daily basis, to how we decide to show up. Our true sense of spirituality and that deep connection and that deep spiritual practice that we set in place with God is the most important aspect of our lives and of who we are. So one way to develop this, if you don't feel like you have, a deep connection to God, the very first thing that you can do is just make the declaration and state it out loud to God and just say, God, I want to develop a closer relationship with you. God, I want to spend more time with you. I want to get closer to you. I want to feel your presence around me every single day. That first step, just speaking it out loud, can change your life. The next thing is, when it comes to developing this deep spiritual practice, is you want to set aside time every single day with God. In the morning time is best if you're able to, if you work day shift or, get your day started. But whenever you first open your eyes, first thing out your mouth is glory to God and spending time with God. So whatever your spiritual practice is going to be, whether that means you're reading the Quran if you're Muslim, or maybe you're reading the Bible if you're Christian, or maybe reading the Torah, or maybe you're spending time in meditation with God, or you're journaling to God, or you're just simply talking to God. This is going to help lay your foundation for creating a deeper sense or a deeper spiritual connection with God. And then just talking to God like He's right there with you, because He is. So instead of calling your girlfriend up and talking about, all the things that you usually talk about, talk to God about it first and then call your girlfriend. And that's what it means to be more of a high value woman, having that deep sense of spiritual connection to God. Secondly is a mental resilience. High value women, we are mentally tough. We are mentally resilient because we done been through some things. We've been through some things in our childhood. We've been through some heartbreak. We've been through some perceived failures. We've been through some setbacks. We've been through some betrayal. We've been through things not working out for us. But the difference between someone who is mentally tough and resilient and someone who isn't is our perception. Because the way we see things is through a different lens. We look at everything as happening for us and not to us. We look at things as it's happening for our development, for our growth, for our refinement, for us becoming more of who we are meant to be. And because of that, we tell a different story when things happen. So if we don't get the job, we don't internalize it like we're not good enough. If our relationship doesn't work out, we don't say, oh, woe is me, my life is over with, and now I just have to go live as a hermit. No, we recognize that whatever is happening for our highest good, is happening for our development. So our inner self-talk is different. Our inner self-talk is empowering and not disempowering. Our inner self-talk is, girl, you got this. You can do this. I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm able. And it's not just about saying affirmations. It's like, this is really how you begin to talk to yourself. And this is how we as high value women talk to ourselves and about ourselves. So developing mental acuity, mental resilience. So how can you become more mentally tough? One thing is, before you respond to any circumstance, situation, or experience, before you even respond, take a breath and ask God, what is the lesson in this for me? What am I supposed to learn from this person, from this moment, from this experience? What is this teaching me about me so that I can become a greater vessel for you? And as you begin to make that a daily habit and practice, then you'll start to develop more mental acuity, mental toughness, and you'll be a lot more aware of how you respond and how you react in life. Third, high value women, we have a very strong connection to ourselves. We know how we feel. We know what we're thinking. We know, what's going on in our inner world. We're not disconnected from our inner self. Our inner self is a safe space for us. Our inner self is a safe haven. Whereas oftentimes when women are disconnected from themselves, you may seek a connection with a man or a connection with a partner, or you may turn to food or some type of external thing to help you feel better about yourself or your circumstances or who you are and where you are. Whereas high value women, we have such a strong connection to ourselves that we sit with our emotions. We don't run away from them. We sit with how we feel. If something doesn't feel good to us, we remove ourselves from the situation or we speak up about it. We never shrink. We never play small, and we never allow ourselves to be taken advantage of. Fourth, high value women, we take care of ourselves. You hear me? Let me tell you something. When you're a high value woman, and self-care becomes a lifestyle. It's not even about getting your hair, your nails done. That's not even like really self-care. That's maintenance. Self-care is where is really soul care. You take care of your spirit. If you don't feel settled about something, you do the inner work to make peace with that. Whether that means writing a forgiveness letter, whether that means journaling, whether that means re-scripting at the cellular level, whether that means meditating or going for a walk or hugging a tree or spending time in nature, like whatever your practice is to bring your soul or your spirit back into balance and peace, you focus on that. Self-care as a lifestyle means the food you eat. We take care of ourselves. We drink our teas. We take our supplements. We drink our water. We doing our juicing. We're eating properly. We're moving our bodies. We are taking care of our mental health. So we're working constantly on that inner conversation and that self-talk. So when you think about being a high value woman, one of the ways to increase that value in yourself is by doing these things. Making these become a part of your lifestyle and a part of who you are and how you show up for yourself. So the fifth one I want to touch on, I have my phone here. The fifth one that I want to touch on is self-awareness. High value women, we're self-aware. We are aware of what we're thinking. We're aware of where we are in life. We're aware when we may have, done something that wasn't for our highest good. We're aware of our surroundings. We just have a lot of self-awareness. We're very aware of who we are as women, our values, what we believe, what we tolerate, what we don't accept in our lives. We just have a lot of self-awareness. And so one of the best ways to become more self-aware is really just to monitor yourself. When certain things happen, like start journaling or becoming aware of like how you respond. So for example, if someone says something to you that you don't like, monitor your initial reaction or response. If someone says something that you do like, then monitor your reaction to that. Even awareness when it comes to the food you put in your body. If you eat something, notice how it makes you feel. Does it give you more life? Does it make you feel good and energized? Or does it deplete you? Does it shut your body down? Do you feel like you got the itis, like you got to go to sleep? So just practicing awareness in every area of your life. The sixth one that I want to touch on is communication. High value women communicate. We communicate our needs, our wants, our goals, our expectations, our desires, not just other people, even to ourselves. High value women usually are really good communicators. We have healthy boundaries in place. We express ourselves with intelligence and respect and empathy. And we also are very understanding of other people, but we're really good at communicating our feelings, our thoughts, our words. We're good at speaking up and telling the truth, telling our truth. And so one of the ways that you can begin to improve your level of communication is simply by just starting to share more of your opinions, more of what you think, more of how you feel, and then also communicating in ways that are effective. So instead of taking on a defensive role, whether that's in your job or at home or in a relationship or even defensive, with your friends, instead of taking on a defensive role and like maybe having an attitude or snapping back, as a high value woman, you're classy. So you communicate in a way that's positive and peaceful. I mean, now you can get with the best of them, but you recognize that is depleting energetically. So oftentimes when it comes to communication in a healthy and effective way, if someone isn't communicating with you in a way that's respectful, your communication becomes no communication. You just learn to walk away or, put yourself in a different space, because we don't tolerate foolishness, not from ourselves and not from other people. The next one I want to touch on, what number am I on? Because I got my notes here. 6, I'm on 7. So high value women, we set boundaries. We don't let people walk all over us. If something don't feel right, don't look right, don't sit right, it ain't right. So we not having it at all, period, point blank. That's it. So we set boundaries. As a high value woman, you have to set boundaries. You have to set boundaries on your time. You have to set boundaries on what you allow. You have to set boundaries even with yourself, what you will allow and what you won't allow, even when it comes down to how you speak to yourself. So sometimes often we have pre-programming. We've been programmed from a young age, not even just in our familial systems, but in the world and in society. We have all these different programs running in our subconscious mind that are constantly playing out in our lives. And so we have to begin to look at that and take that into consideration and make decisions on whether or not these are even things that we're going to allow. So setting boundaries, healthy boundaries for yourself when it comes to, your expectations of yourself and other people in every area of your life is critical and crucial. So if you struggle with setting boundaries, a lot of times that has to do with trauma and childhood wounds, because you were probably an overgiver. You really didn't speak up, didn't have a voice, but all that can change, girl. And it can change today just by simply making a decision to say, you know what? I'm going to start setting boundaries for myself because I love myself and I'm learning to love myself, and I like myself and I'm learning to like myself more. And I want to look out for me and what's in my best interest. And you can simply start with that. And then start with just saying no to the things that take you off your path, or, no to the things that dishonor you. And start by saying yes to the things that honor you and keep you on your path in all your relationships, even when it comes to family. Like, sometimes family, they may try to take advantage because you're always a nice person. No, we don't have time for that. I mean, it's good to be nice, don't get me wrong, but not when you internally feel some type of way and feel negative energy around it. And the next one I want to touch on is, as a high value woman, number 8 is this number 7? Y'all, I'm getting confused here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Number 8 is a self-development plan. As a high value woman, we have a plan. We have a plan for the year. We have a plan for the day. We have a plan usually for the month or for the week. We have a plan not just for the things we want to accomplish, but a plan for how we want to develop and grow. How we want to evolve as women, whether that means getting coaching, getting therapy, getting more counseling, reading more books, getting a personal trainer, taking classes or workshops. We have a plan of action to execute on how we feel that we can develop ourselves even more, how we can become better leaders, how we can become better mothers, better wives, better friends, better sisters, and most importantly, better servants of God. And so having a self-development plan is critical. And so one of the best ways to start your self-development plan is just looking at the areas of your life where you're strong in, looking at the areas of your life where you're weak in. And then leverage those strengths, but then the areas of your life that you are weak in or need improvement in, begin to prioritize those areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or however many areas there are. And based on that first priority, you want to then begin to ask yourself the question, what would it take for me to get a result in this area of my life? What would it take for me to lose the weight? What would it take for me to start the business? What would it take for me to develop my confidence? What would it take for me to heal this particular wound, whatever that is. And then you begin to write those action steps down, and you then execute on those action steps. And the next one that I want to touch on, one of the next habits of high value women, is discipline. High value women are disciplined women. We're disciplined with the thoughts we think. We're disciplined with the words that we speak. We're disciplined with the action steps that we take. We're disciplined in our daily lifestyle because we understand that, especially as women, we can be emotional. We can have all types of things going on all around us, all within us, especially if you're a mother. I'm a mom, sometimes our emotions, we taking care of our children, and that can be stressful. Your job can be stressful. Your husband, your relationship can be stressful. Life is stressful. I mean, who are we kidding here? It's a challenge. And so learning how to be disciplined, meaning no matter what, I'm going to take this action step today. No matter what, this is what I'm going to do. And then you execute on it, regardless of how you feel, because it's the discipline that gets the results. If we just go off of how we feel every day, what will we accomplish? Not much. So discipline is essential. And the way to improve your discipline is simply to choose one area of your life that you want to focus on, that you want better results in. And then whatever area of your life that is, choose one action step that'll help you get there. And then just repeat that action step every single day or according to that game plan. The next one I want to touch on, number 10, is money. Money, 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 money. Money. Y'all know my career wasn't as a singer. But anyway, financial management. High value women manage money. We manage our resources. We manage what that looks like, whether that means having a budget, whether that means having an investment portfolio, whether that means having our life insurance policies together, even when it comes down to donating to charities, business expenses, and investments. High value women manage their money, and they manage their money well. We're not spendthrifts, and we don't allow ourselves to be wasteful. So we do our best to manage our resources. And I don't want you guys to get me wrong. When I talk about high value women, I'm not talking about women that are high value based upon how much money they have in the bank. You could be a high value woman. You may not even have a job right now. You could be a high value woman and you just got laid off. You could be a high value woman and you're still trying to figure out your purpose. Because remember, being a high value woman doesn't have anything to do with how much money you have currently in your possession. Being a high value woman is an energy that you embody. And as a result of that energy, things begin to shift and change in your life. And then the last one is self-worth. High value women feel worthy. They feel worthy of all the blessings that God has for them, despite their mistakes, despite their failures, despite their setbacks, despite their challenges. They feel worthy still because God says so. And just because you make mistakes, just because you haven't accomplished your goals and your dreams, just because you haven't made it there yet, doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're worthy of making it or having the things that you desire. It's all in God's timing anyway. So in this video, we talked about 11 habits of high value women. We talked about developing a deep spiritual practice and why it's important to connect to God first and connect to Him always. We talked about mental resilience, shifting our perspective, seeing things from a new angle, and learning the lessons that we can learn. Instead of looking at it as a setback, we look at it as a setup for a comeback or for elevation. We talked about having a strong connection to ourselves and being our own best friend. We talked about a consistent self-care, really soul care lifestyle where you honor yourself, your mind, your emotions, how you feel, and it's a lifestyle. We talked about having self-awareness, being aware of your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, and really honoring that within you. And we also talked about communication and setting boundaries and how important it is to speak up for yourself and to say no when something doesn't serve you. And, to go along with something that will serve you and to take risks. And we also talked about having a self-development plan, looking at the areas of your life where you're strong in, looking at the areas of your life where you may have some flaws or some weaknesses or challenges or some areas of improvement, and then prioritizing that list and making a decision on which one you want to focus on first, or taking one action step in each area of your life consistently in that plan. And then we also talked about discipline and how discipline is what will help us get to our goals, because as women, we can be emotional about many different things. There's a lot of things that we deal with on a daily basis, but discipline should outweigh our emotions. If we say we're going to do something, we got to do what we say we're going to do, because we have to have integrity with ourselves. And then we also talked about financial management. So setting a budget, taking care of your resources, having a game plan for how you plan to grow your wealth, build wealth, and take care of yourself and your family. And then lastly, we talked about self-worth and how important it is to really value and have your worth within you and to feel worthy within yourself. So these are the 11 habits of high value women. If you have an area of your life where you feel like you're challenged with, or one that you really feel that you've mastered, feel free to drop a comment below. I also have some resources I'll drop for you below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. God bless.